everyone. Could you please confirm, is my voice audible? Is my voice audible? All right. So I welcome you all to the reorientation session. Basically, we are going to accommodate all the students who have just joined us after the result day. So, which is why we call it as an orientation session for reset batch. My name is Samia Asif, and for the last almost 2 decades, I'm in the field of teaching ACCA taxation as well as advanced taxation. By the way, I'm an expert tutor designated by ACCA Global. And right now, what I am going to discuss with you people is that what we are going to offer at WIFI as after becoming a part of our portal, what things you may access for the sake of succeeding in your exam. And I'll be listening from your story as well. I really want to see that whether you have taken your TX exam before. If yes, then for at how many marks you had failed it, unfortunately. So, keeping that thing in mind, I'll advise you that what next strategy is going to be feasible for you. All right. And of course, we'll have a look at a little bit, little bit look at the syllabus of TX as well, which is like quite the same if you have taken your exam in June before. All right. So first of all, I would like to see your comments regarding your exam status. I mean, have you taken your TX exam before or not? And if yes, that what had been your score? So far, I have received only 2 comments, as in one is going to take their exam in September. So I believe this is going to be your first attempt, or maybe, or if you have taken somewhere before that, I mean, not necessarily you have taken your exam back in June, but if in case you have taken your exam before that, please let me know so that I can advise you accordingly. And secondly, there is another message that I had 48 in June session, which is like quite unfortunate, but don't lose hope. You are going to have next exam window very soon. And see, whosoever fails their exam in between 45 to 49 would mean that they were basically lacking at the point of practice, and especially practice with respect to section A and section B of taxation. You must have got your detailed analysis that what had been your percentage in each section of your exam. And let me just tell you that whosoever does an extra effort with respect to section A and section B, they usually have a brighter chances of passing their exam. So going forward, if you had scored 48 marks before, which actually is a positive thing on one hand because it is suggesting that you must have got a good grip on the subject, but you might have not handled your section A and section B properly. And for that purpose, of course, you will have to do a lot of practice. And for the sake of doing the practice, I always suggest that Kaplan exam kit. Kaplan revision kit is the best source for doing the revision, for doing the practice for section A and section B. And besides that, whatsoever the OT and OTKs related questions are found on the study hub, they are also providing you a good resource, right? And okay. See, whosoever has taken their exam before June 2026, I mean, somewhere in March 26 or December 25, let me just tell you, they had given their exam according to FA 24, which is no longer applicable because in June 26, we have taught FA 25, and FA 25 will continue on all the exam attempts, I mean, on September, then December, and then March 27. And afterwards, obviously, it will be changed once again to FA 26. So if in case you have taken your exam somewhere before that, please update your knowledge as well. All the new notes, all the study material, as well as the practice material according to the new Finance Act has to be used, right? And okay, so this is like going to be your first attempt in September. Wish you all the best. And let me just tell you that today is 18th of July, right? Today is 18th of July, which would mean that I would be demanding only 25 days of your life, and not just like 24 hours a day is not required. Few hours on daily basis for next 25 days are very important. If you do whatever I say to you, you will be able to complete your course. That is going to be completed on time, and that is going to be done with practice. And you will be able to take your mock exam as well. And these are all the essential features which are required for the sake of passing your exam, and that's true with the flying colors, right? So okay, as our syllabus is basically comprising over five important types of taxes, that includes income tax, corporation tax, capital gains tax, inheritance tax, and value added tax. Major portion of our syllabus is basically revolving around income tax rules. Then the next stress is given to corporation tax. There are like 2 to 3 chapters dedicated to capital gains taxes and inheritance taxes, while there is a very limited content relevant to value added taxes. By the way, if you join us or if you have joined us already, then we are going to provide with e-notes of the whole syllabus. So everything, every important point, every not so important point, I mean, every part of the syllabus has been comprehensively taken into account by making these concise yet comprehensive e-notes. They are downloadable and they are printable. So I really want you people to download your e-notes and take a printout of it. And whensoever you start watching our recorded sessions, by the way, each and every topic has been recorded in the form of videos along with numerous practice questions. So whensoever you turn on any recording, you really need to take out that e-note. I mean, it's like if you take a start with chapter number one, so chapter number one notes are to be there in your hand. Whatever you're going to listen, whatever you're going to learn, you need to add on additional points on that piece of notes. So that's how, by the time your session would come to an end, your set of notes would have been actually turned into a comprehensive set of material, which will greatly help you at the point of revising your session, right? So these recorded sessions will stay there till your exam week. So you may access your recording session as and when required. So that's totally up to you. And sometimes this happens that because of some uh, exam center glitch, usually a student's exam is postponed for a week. If that happens, then we will be allowing you to have an access to the recorded session for extended week as well, right? Okay, so as far as your taxation course is concerned, the taxation course is basically revolving around almost 62 hours. 62 hours are basically spent for the sake of like setting the whole recording thing. And if you are going to spend only 2.5 hours on daily basis, then you are quite mature. You know that in how many days you will be able to get done with the subject. In how many days you are going to get done with the subject?
25 days, ma'am.
It's like almost 25 days, right? So in 25 days, you will have been done with the recorded sessions. You will have been done with the whole syllabus completion. So I will just be demanding these 25 days. And there is like one more thing as well. If you just turn the recording on, you will find that I tend to speak at a comparatively slower pace because I really want to include students from multiple ethnicities. So when you start listening to the audio, normally what we have found that students turn to increase the pace of the video. So if you're going to increase the pace by, let's say, 1.5 times, then the same set of recordings can be watched even earlier. Because if you're just going to increase the pace, then by just spending 2.5 hours, you would have completed comparatively a greater proportion of your syllabus. And even before 25 days, you'll be done with the whole syllabus. And afterwards, you'll be having ample time for the sake of like doing the practice, doing the kit, taking your mock exam and all. And see, in our course, we conduct live classes on weekly basis as well. They are usually conducted on Saturdays. And considering this batch has already been started, so we have taken three practice sessions before. By the way, the recording of everything which is like being done live, that will be provided to you people. So whatsoever the practice sessions have happened, you may have an access to their recordings. And still we have quite a lot of live sessions planned. They've been lined up. Three practice sessions are still there, the regular practice sessions, and afterwards we'll have a series of revision-based sessions as well. Besides that, I'll be available in the WhatsApp groups. I hope all the students who have already joined us, they know that the QR codes are available on your portal. Just scan them and be a part of our two groups. One is announcement group in which all the necessary announcements are made. And one is the discussion group where you people are welcome to drop as many queries, as many questions as possible. And I will be glad to assist you people to the maximum possible extent. I try answering to the students on prompt basis. I try that every student is like going to be satisfied to the maximum extent. If there's like any student who has already been a part of my session before, they really know the thing that this is not something I am scamming. This is actually the true thing. I even though we are providing the facility of teacher assistant, he is also a part of our WhatsApp group, but I really want to handle all the queries myself because I know that which thing has been done in which video. So it's like considering I know my course, so I know that what the student is actually demanding. So I really want to help them on the prompt basis, right? After every live class, we are giving you an assignment and a certain time period is allocated to the assignment. You will have to follow the assignment, submit it, and it will be checked with a feedback. And then, as I've told you, that once the syllabus is completed, in the first, in fact, in the second week of August, we'll start with that revision session where once again, much stress will be given to practice. And for the sake of practice, I will be using the Kaplan revision kit. And I would strictly recommend you people not to use past exam attempts which are available on the study hub. Though by the time you would have covered the syllabus, then I'll tell you that there are very few attempts which you can handle, which you can attempt. By the way, there are lots of past exam attempts which are literally past. They are old. Their questions have been designed on the basis of old finance act, and their solutions have been set accordingly, which is like no longer a feasible thing for you. In fact, all these past questions have been adapted, adjusted according to the latest finance act, and they are being set into your Kaplan revision kit, which is why I'm in a favor of using the kit more. But there are very few attempts which have been adjusted according to Finance Act 25. And this is like something which I'll tell you once you are done with the syllabus. So as a part of your grand revision session, we'll be taking up mock exam. Two mock exams will be provided to you people. One is like the complementary mock. If you want to, you can pick it up. Other one is like mandatory. You really need to take that mock exam. It is being conducted in the same exam simulation. It's a timed sort of mock exam, which has to be done in a period of 3 hours, as our exam is of 3 hours long. So mock exam, once submitted, I'll check it out. I'll give you a detailed feedback. And this is like all we are providing at the platform of Bifi to assist you as much as possible, right? Okay, so there's an issue with with the audio. Is that with each and everyone? All right. By the way, what about others? Is the audio issue is same across um, all the sides? I mean, do you people have any sort of problem in hearing me? Okay, right. Okay, just in case you find that I'm like getting slow down on my tone, or if there happens to be anything in between, please let me know as soon as possible. All right, so this is what we are offering at Fifi. Uh, See, the discounts are available at this point of joining us, and all the students who have always who had already been a part of our session of taxation, additional discounts are being given to them as well. Okay. And this is the exam pattern. Your exam is going to be 3 hours long. It's a computer-based exam. It is going to have three sections, section A, B, and C. Section A is all about OTs, where 15 OTs will be given to you people. Each OT will be of 2 marks. So in total, 30 marks are allocated to section A. Then we have three OT cases. Every OT case will be carrying five OTs of worth 2 marks. So it's like 5 into 2, 10 marks are associated with one OT case. And as there are three OT cases, so again, the whole section is for worth 30 marks. By the way, as far as section A and B, your workings do not matter. Whether you do any workings or not, it is not going to make any difference in front of your paper checker. It's actually the answer which matters. If your answer is correct, you're going to get 2 marks for a particular OT. If your answer is completely incorrect or partially incorrect, either way, you're not going to get anything at all. So it's actually the answer which matters. If your answer is correct, definitely you are going to get 2 marks. Well, with section C, it's a constructed response question area. Where long form questions are being tested. It's basically a amalgamation of computational as well as theoretical, a part of your syllabus. It will be carrying three questions. Question number one will be of worth 10 marks, while question number two and question number three each will be carrying 15 marks. So altogether, this section is of worth 40 marks. Question number two is going to focus income tax rules, while corporation tax rules will be discussed in question number three. And in this part of the question, now answer doesn't matter, but it's about the workings. You're going to secure on the basis of your workings. So if in case there is questions where for instance, 8 steps are required, and you have correctly performed 6 steps, but 2 steps went wrong. So you're going to get marks according to as many steps which have been correctly applied. For instance, if you're going to handle a question which requires, let's say, 10 steps, the first step went wrong, while the rest of the steps were correct, you will be given the credit for all the 9 steps. You will not be penalized on the basis of the value that you have deduced from this first step. And this is basically the beauty of section C. Usually, students do not get good marks while handling section A and B. And this is why this is the area where we need to pay much stress, right? Is there anything else you people want to say? Do you have anything else to say about the course, about anything else which we are going to offer? or the paper in general? Yes. With section A and B, if you have smartly done the practice, you will find that few section A and section B questions are being tested in a repetitive manner. You will find the questions of the same sort in your Kaplan revision kit as well as study hub. So this is like an easy target, which is why it has got a good pass percentage of 55%. I mean, uh, TX exam has got the highest pass percentage as compared to the remaining skill level exams. Having said that, there is like still 45% of the students who unfortunately do not make it up. And by just paying a little more focus to section A and section, they will definitely be able to pass their exam next time, right? Okay. Before that, I move forward. There is one more thing that I want to discuss with you people, that in our June 2026 attempt, there is a student who has got amazing marks at 51, and we have invited her to be a part of the session, and we are going to ask her few questions, as in how had been her journey with Bifi, what is her experience with the subject of fixation, what like the most important piece of information or a suggestion that she has and she would like to share with you people so that you may excel in your exams as well. The name of the student is, let me just find, I hope she must have joined already. So it's
Hi,
Adeline Florence. Hi, Adeline, how are you?
hi, ma'am. I'm doing good. Thank you. How are you?
I'm doing good as well. This is for the first time that I am watching you because obviously having an online interaction, you really do not tend to have a liberty of like looking at the faces of the students. There could be a chance that you might have turned your cameras on the meet and greet session, but just having a glimpse of the student wouldn't mean that you would retain the face in your mind. By the way, first of all, congratulations on having great marks, 81. That's quite wow. So, Adeline, I
Thank you,
would
ma'am.
like to ask you few questions. Okay, so just tell me, are you a full-time student or you are working beside your exam preparation as well?
Ma'am, I'm working right now. I'm full-time working. I'm working as an audit senior.
You're not honest. So, being a full-time,
Uh, Ma'am, I think your audio is uh, breaking a little.
is
Yeah.
it still creating a disturbance? Everyone, please
I,
let me
I
know.
think it's better now. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So that's quite marvelous that despite being a full-time working student, not just you have passed your exam, but you have passed it with like great marks. That is something I'm really proud of you. Okay, so tell me that in June 2026 exam, did you attempt any other exam as well besides taxation?
Uh,
That was
no,
the
ma'am. My
only.
full focus was on tax. Yeah, that was the only paper.
All right. And yes, that makes sense that if you are a full-time working student, obviously it becomes little hard to manage two papers simultaneously, right? Okay. So could you please tell me that what had been your preparation journey? I mean, which materials you have used for the sake of preparing TX exam, as you may have an access to the material at Wifi. Study Hub is a great source, Kaplan Kit and all. So we really want to hear from you that what had been your material for the sake of like securing such great marks.
Ma'am, initially, I used to invest like 2 hours per day only in the month of April. So before logging into work, I invested 2 hours. During that period, I was just keen on one thing. I just wanted to follow your planner. So I took a Xerox copy of the Wi-Fi textbook that's there in the portal, and I started watching the lectures. I did not skip them or fast forward them or anything. I just watched them fully, entirely throughout the period. So from there, I gained conceptual understanding. And then you were also doing sums in the class. So from that, I got how to apply the sums. So after getting conceptual clarity and then after understanding how to apply the sums, then later I started in the last 15 days or so, I started application. Like I did all your homework sums, the assignments that you gave in, and then I did study hubs section A and B, and then I did the entire Kaplan kit fully and then went for the exam.
So just tell me that how did you plan your last 10 days before appearing an exam?
So, ma'am, the last 10 days, I read the textbook, the Wi-Fi textbook that's there in the portal multiple times because it helped
This
with
is
the
not the
knowledge-based
Kaplan,
questions.
sorry to cut you off. This is not the Kaplan textbook, right?
No, ma'am. That's the study text that you had in the portal. Yeah. So everything that I read it multiple times, it helped with the knowledge-based questions. Like sometimes they ask how many years and all. So those types of questions it helped with. And then for the application, I did the homework sums and then the Kaplan kit. That's it.
Yeah. Well, tell me that how much benefit you have taken from Virtual Institute for Higher Education. I mean, WIFI. This is obviously students know that this is like kind of a promotional campaign, but really, we really want to flaunt the students who have got such amazing marks. We really need to listen to them. There could be a chance that apart from WIFI, they might have taken some other sort of assistance as well. So this platform is all yours. So, how much benefit you have gained from Wi-Fi, and if there is like any other thing you have done, you may share.
Okay. Ma'am, one thing I would like to appreciate here is the WhatsApp group because you were available there all the time. I just have to ping some questions there, and within a few hours, I would get answers from you. So that is one thing. And other thing is, I have actually tried other institutes as well, and then I gave tax with Wi-Fi. So the thing is, tax is my highest score in any of the other papers. So the guidance and the lecture clarity here is very good at Wi-Fi. And I have also joined with Wi-Fi for the September attempt as well. So that says about how good Wi-Fi is.
Saying the thing that you're actually available, that I'm actually available in the WhatsApp group. So this is something that I really want to make sure that I should be available to my students after every few hours. This is like for me when I was a student, I used to look forward to this thing that I really need to have an access to my teacher. Of course, at that time, like 20 years ago, when I took my TX exam, there was like no WhatsApp group, but we had a facility of email. And by the way, this was like one-to-one interaction, and whosoever was like used to be available, I used to appreciate that person a lot. So I just tried to at least mimic a little part of them as well. Okay, so in your opinion, do you think is there any advantage of going through the revision sessions, which we provide to the students in the form of game changer webinar sessions, and obviously, is there an importance of like giving the mock exam and all? It's because it is like all the part of revision session.
Yes, ma'am. For me, unfortunately, due to time constraint, I wasn't able to attend the sessions live. But I ensured that I watch the recording sessions, because you used to give tips over there, and then the sessions you work out sums. So alongside you, I would be working out in the recorded sessions. But so I would say that it is important to attend the live sessions so that they can clarify. Anyone can clarify their doubts then and there. And as for the mocks, it's important that you do the section C with you because you'll be giving insights. Like if there's any formatting error or anything, you'll be giving us insights on how to do it. And I think that's very valuable. So everyone should do the mock.
And final suggestion, remarks, anything you have in mind which you would like to share with the students who are going to take their exam attempt in September? Anything else you really need to share with them?
I would say stick to the planner. Ensure that you're within the, if ma'am says 1 week is for some topic, then ensure that you're completing it. Watch the recordings fully because it helps you get the concepts as well as the application and do a lot of practice. I think that's the key.
Adeline, once again, I'm so happy that you have scored 81 marks. That's amazing. I congratulate you once again. Thank you so
Thank
much
you,
for
ma'am.
being part of my session.
Thank you for your
Thank
guidance,
you.
ma'am. Thank you.
All right, students. So, do you have anything else in your mind after listening to what uh, my achiever has said? Please let me know so that I may clarify that point, and afterwards I'll let you have an access to the important contact persons. And once it's done, then we continue with our normal practice session. This is something which I conduct on weekly basis with all the students. So those who have already joined us in the start of the session, or those who are now joining us after the declaration of the result, they make up know that how the sums are solved. So there's a question: how many marks do ACCA on an average test in the paper for the self-assessment chapter of individual and companies along with VAT administration? The I would segregate the administration part. I mean, when it comes to learning of dates and the deadlines and the important procedures which are all linked to administrative rules, let me tell you that the admin part completely not just related to VAT, but related to VAT, corporation tax, CGT, inheritance tax, and income. Your examiner has for 8 to 10 marks. So admin section, again, the audio is not clear. So sorry, I'm just give me a minute.
Now, students, just let me know if the issue is resolved. I mean, is the voice clear now? All right. I sorry that I had to take such long as I just really wanted to fix the issue once for all. All right. So now, students, that I was like saying that just keep that administrative part of taxation separately, as in collectively the administration portion, whether it is like related to income tax or corporation tax, value added tax, CGT, I mean the capital gains taxes or inheritance taxes, examiner is always interested in testing 8 to 10 marks, right? And then if you just ask me that what an average allocation of questions with respect to income tax and corporation tax, it's like almost 25 to 30 marks in total are relevant to the concepts from income taxes, and approximately 20 to 25 marks will always be covering corporation tax rules. Though it is not the standard criteria, there is like always a little bit plus and minuses, but normally this is like observed when it comes to your exam, that in between 25 to 30 marks, income tax rules are going to be tested, while marks up to 25 but not less than 20 will also be covering corporation tax aspect, right? Is there anything else you want to ask further?
No, ma'am. Thank you so much.
All right. Now, students, as far as the academics part over here is concerned, your all the queries, all the issues related to the subject, your progress, the live classes material, and anything else, if it is like related to the subject, you will have to contact me, right? But if it is like relevant to the portal, if you come across any issue related to the portal of Wi-Fi, uh, specifically the one related to the internet issues, sorry, but the one related to the connectivity issues precisely, or anything else where you will find a difficulty in downloading the things, in opening up the things in order to have an access to certain things, then you need to contact our support team representative, whose contact number is being shown right there in front of you. But as long as you will be dropping the question in the group, I will instantly respond to that. For instance, if you try to contact any support team member and you find that there is like a little bit delay in the response, you may engage me in the conversation as well by dropping the concern in your WhatsApp group so that I may expedite the procedure. Clear? I'm just trying to zoom in the contact number. And for admission discounts and anything else, that's the same number which you have to use. All right, as far as the study material is concerned, I have told you that we are providing you with the e-notes. There is no need, absolutely no need to use any Kaplan textbook. It's big, it's overwhelming, it takes a lot of time. So there is no need to use any other study material. E-notes provided by us is sufficient. In fact, we are providing the separate supporting study material as well, as in the PowerPoint slides that I have used for the sake of making the recordings. These PowerPoint slides are also provided to you people as well on the portal. So it's the combination. It's either the combination of both e-notes and PowerPoint slides you may use, or you may choose any one of the two. So this is basically the study material that you need to use. But if in case you would still ask me that what other study material besides one provided by Wi-Fi could be used, then I would say go to Study Hub. Study Hub material is much better, relatively concise, comprehensive as compared to one being provided by Kaplan textbook. But having said that, I would say when it comes to practice, that then nothing is better than Kaplan revision kit. So for practice, I would surely be recommending Kaplan revision kit, but for studies, e-notes are sufficient. Or you may also use e-notes and the with like PowerPoint slides. All right. So as I've already told you that the support team, what the support team number is, it is their email, just in case you would like to email them instead of contacting them through WhatsApp number. This is my contact details. If in case you would like to directly reach to me, then this is the number you may use. And this is a very important link. It's a global WhatsApp group link. Through this link, you may access to multiple resources other than what being offered by Wi-Fi. So it's a global group, it's an open group where you will find lots of students who are in the same boat from multiple institutions, from multiple countries. who are going to take up their exam in September. So you will find a little bit support. In fact, I shouldn't say little bit, a massive sort of support from those people who are exactly doing something as you are striving to do. If in case you do not have this link, then I am going to share it in your dialog box as well so that you may at least join it. Otherwise, once you get registered with Wi-Fi, then not just the global link, I would like you people to be a part of our enrolled student WhatsApp group as well, where I would like myself to be active as much as possible, right? Let me just share the link in your groups. Just give me a minute for that. Link is working. All right. So you should surely be a part of this group. And once you get enrolled, then definitely you're gonna be taken in our enrolled students WhatsApp group, which is like obviously kind of giving you a sense of being uh, of like studying at Wi-Fi, of someone who is like being treated on an instant basis. Right? Anything else in your mind which you would like to ask? If yes, then please let me know. If there is any query, any suggestion, anything else in your mind, you may please ask by dropping your concern in the dialog box. Study Hub, can you tell how to approach? Okay, you must have a login to your ACCA account, right? So on the ACCA Global account, you do have an option to access Study Hub as well. Let me just show you this if that's possible. So see, this is like my ACCA Global. Let me just take you to the home page. Okay. So here you may find at multiple points that would take you to Study Hub, right? In fact, if you would like to, you may simply type Study Hub ACCA in the toolbar and they will take you there directly. Okay, I'm just trying to put in my login details, which is why I've frozen my screen. Just give me a minute. I'm accessing my ACCA account, which is why I have paused the screen sharing. So for instance, you would like to do some sort of practice. Let's say by default, it's ATX opened, though it's TX. So it's like you will find it on the right-hand side about the study hub information. I'm just going to take you to the hub. See, this is the study hub access. And again, the same ACCA credentials, which I use for the sake of logging into ACCA, I'm using the same credentials for logging into Study Hub. Or if in case there's like something different at your end, then you may contact ACCA by just writing them an email so that they let you know that what extra credentials could be generated for accessing Study Hub. Just a minute, it is like creating a bit hurdle. Um, um, Students, right now I'm just facing a little bit issue at like connecting to my hub. I don't know why is this happening. What if I'll be sending you a short video of how to access the study hub? Would that be fulfilling the purpose? Because obviously I have to like freeze the screen again and again for the sake of like hiding the credentials and all, which is obviously a logical thing. But if it is like not connecting instantly right now, I don't know why, but I think I should send you a short video of accessing the hub later on. Yes, yes, we are definitely going to have our practice session. Just wait for a moment. All right, this issue will definitely be taken into account. I'll definitely let you know that how the study hub is to be accessed. But right now I'm just having some sort of connectivity issues. Maybe I'm just putting in the wrong passwords or what, which is why this is like happening. I just really don't want to freeze my account for the next 2 hours. So I'll definitely help you out in this regard shortly once the session is done. Okay, so there are some other questions that I've received that how do you advise us to study? Download the notes and follow the video recordings alongside, or make your own notes as we watch the recording? See, you will have to download the notes. You will have to start watching the recordings, and the recordings are to be watched in a sequence. I mean, it is not like that you will be taking a start with chapter number 3 and then you come back to chapter number 2. See, watch everything in a sequence, having the print of these e-notes in your hand. But once you have watched a certain recording, a certain topic, that whatsoever the extra material or the additional material that you have learned while watching the video, you will have to note it down on the same e-notes whose print is there in your hand. So this is how not just the typed material, the additional material will also be like written on the same page, and afterwards this would be like turned into a comprehensive set of notes which you may use properly at the time of revising your concept, right? Okay, and now we are having another question. Like in Study Hub, there is a lot of questions around 350 are there. Should we focus on doing everything? No. Uh, Try doing all section A and section B questions of Kaplan kit. If you still have time, then do majority of section A and section B questions of Study Hub, majority. This is like totally up to you. You are randomly selecting few questions because the Kaplan revision kit and Study Hub have got almost the same sort of section A and section B questions. And well, with section C questions, you will have to do selective question practice. Though if you have time you may do all, but this is like something I'm talking about Kaplan revision kit again with respect to section C. So for section C there's only one thing you need to do, and that is the Kaplan revision kit, and that's two about selective questions for which I'll be sharing the list with you people. There's another question. What is the most common mistake which TX student make which we should not make it? And what is the time allocation for each section? For each section that you would personally advise us to generally follow in the paper. Okay. So the standard says that you have got 1.8 minutes in order to deal with 1 mark, which would mean when it comes to section A, which is of worth 30 marks in total, you will be having approximately 54 minutes in order to deal with this section, right? And so is the case with section B. Why? Because section B is also of worth 30 marks. So for both section A and section B, 54 minutes each are to be allocated. And then as section C is of worth 40 marks, then you will have to spend, I'm just doing the calculation, it's like 72 minutes on section C, which would mean that 1 hour and 12 minutes. Okay, normally what happens is that this is the standard allocation of the time, and one cannot achieve a perfection in this case. Maybe you'll be spending a little bit more time in doing section A as compared to section B. Maybe you'll be like consuming a lot of time while doing section C, but your target is somehow closer to the standard allocated time. So for instance, if I've set a timer before starting section A that it should be completed in 54 minutes, and by the time I'm done with section A and I find that I have spent 1 hour 60 minutes in dealing section A, then though again 54 minutes are allocated to section B, this time round I shall be trying completing section B in 48 minutes. In fact, with this standard, one should try taking lesser time in dealing with section A and section B, because sometimes people usually get stuck with section C. They take a little bit more time in solving section C. So if you'll be like saving your time while doing section A and section B, that is going to benefit you while attempting section C, where you are, as per standard, having 72 minutes. But if you would have completed section A and section B earlier, then like additional time is available for you people, which is obviously a helpful thing. And the common mistake is like not completing your exam on time. If you do not complete your exam, this is like going to give an impression to the examiner, to the paper checker, that you did not have a full grip on the subject, and this is like going to be a big hit right in the start of your exam. And usually when students tend to secure in between 45 to 49 marks, for instance, if someone has secured 49 marks, your paper checker may give a little bit consideration of giving him or her one additional mark if he has completed the whole exam. Then if he sees that he or she has completed the whole exam, he may take a little bit effort to go through the previous questions in order to see whether there could be a margin of giving one more mark as well. But if you have not completed your uh, entire script, then even after securing 49 marks, your examiner is not going to give you any extra leverage of like reassessing that whether any additional mark could be given or not, right? So this is like something you really need to be careful about. The question is that do you mean that we don't have to do all the section C questions? Yes. If you are running short of time, there is no need to do section C questions. Or if in case you are simply do not want to, then we may suggest that doing selective section C questions would be a right thing to do. But if you have a lot of time, for instance, a lot of time, then try doing 2 to 3 questions on daily basis would not be something overwhelming, right? So it's like all dependent upon the time, but in any case, all section A and section B questions should be done. All right, students. After this, I would say thanks to you all with respect to this orientation session, because we are still having our practice session, which for which obviously there are certain students who have connected us for the sake of like doing the practice session only because they have already joined us since the start of this September session. Okay, now the question that I am going to discuss with you people is part B of design, because in our last session we started off with section A. I will be showing you what we did in the last session, a quick recap, a quickest possible recap, and then I'll take you to section B of this question. Let me just show you the question once again. Quickly read the question so that I may take you to its part A, and then we'll be doing part B. Here you go. This is the question. Kindly read the question quickly. Do update me once you are done reading the whole question. I hope you people are done. Is that so? All right, now I'm just taking you to the first requirement of the question. In fact, a quick recap of question part A of this question is gonna be given to you people because we have already done this. This part of the question is of worth 6 marks. Here we had to calculate these tax adjusted trading loss for the tax year 25-26. So for a self-employed person, for a person who is doing a business either as a sole proprietor or being a partner in the partnership, the business has a choice to make accounts according to their own willingness. So Dee started doing her business on 6th of July, and her first set of accounts is of 9 months in total. I mean, self-employed person can make accounts for 12 months, for less than 12 months, or even for more than 12 months. And she has made her accounts for 9 months. And her 9 months accounting period loss is 11,653, for which they say that still few adjustments are required in order to convert this figure into an absolutely an adjusted figure for tax purposes. So 11,653 is like an almost adjusted profit figure Few adjustments according to tax rules have been performed, and still few are left. Then, which adjustments are yet to be made? This is about only the capital allowances and the patent royalties, which are mentioned in note 2. As patent royalty is an allowable expenditure, it should be deducted. And as they say that this figure of 11,653 is the one before taking into account of this calculation. So we will have to deduct it because this is an allowable deduction and it should be deducted. Then we have capital allowances. Capital allowances are always calculated according to the period of account. They've made accounts for 9 months, and these are the assets which they have purchased. So there is like no WDV brought forward, no opening balance of the assets because the business has been started. Business has just been started, so there is like no old balance. Then we have to consider the additions. First of all, we need to consider the additions which are not qualifying for AIA and FIA. These two cars are the ones which are falling in this category, as cars never qualify for AIA and their carbon dioxide emission is not zero, which is why they are not even qualifying for first year allowances. So 10,400 being the cost of the car, as its carbon dioxide emission is 45 grams, it had to be mentioned under main pool, right? And then the other car had to be mentioned under special aid pool, but there is a difference, as it is said that car 1 was being used by an employee. By the way, employee use doesn't matter. It is to be treated as something being used 100% for business purposes. But it's about car 2, which is being used by D herself for private purposes. Whenever a self-employed person will be making a private use of anything, that's declared as an asset with personal use. So instead of being treated as a special ed pool item, this will instead be treated as an addition, not addition like with personal use, and though it is like not qualifying for AIA and FIA as well. Okay, so asset with personal use includes car number 2 and mail pool will be including car 1, right? Then we have addition qualifying for AIA, and that's about computer and office furniture. The computer is of worth 1257 and office furniture is of worth 2175. Altogether, the cost is of 3432 pounds, on which AIA, the annual investment allowance, should apply. Though the annual investment allowance is of £1 million, but as accounts have been made for 9 months, so AIA has to be prorated. But if I even prorate 1 million, which is like 10,100,000, even then, after prorating it over 9 months, would mean that we still have an AIA of £750,000 to be available, which is quite a lot because our assets are worth just 3432 pound and they're going to be covered completely and easily under this value, and no value of the asset will have been left behind. So this 3432 is straight away taken as our allowance value. And well, on main pool and asset with personal use, we shall be applying the rates. Main pool rate is 18%, but rate is to be apportioned according to the length in accounts, as there are 9 months period in the period of account. So it is to be apportioned over 9 months, giving an allowance of 1404 pounds. And asset with personal use, as it is accommodating a car whose carbon dioxide emission is of more than 50 grams per kilometer, which is why we had to apply the rate of 6%. Again, this rate is to be time apportioned according to the length existing in a period of account. And that's how our allowance figure for 9 months period is of 801 pounds. But this 801 pound is not going to be taken into account completely because this is linked with asset with personal use and only the business portion is to be considered. See, 1404 is taken completely while only 80% of this 801 shall be taken into account. So altogether, we have an allowance of 2044.8. Altogether, the total allowance for these 9 months period is of 5476.8, or you may take it as 5477. Okay, so what is the treatment of capital allowances. We all know that capital allowances is an allowable expense, and this 45477 is to be deducted. Against loss, when further deductions are made, the negative figure will be increased, and now our adjusted loss have risen to £17,630. So this is the adjusted trading loss figure for the period of account ending on 5th April 26. And by the way, uh, depending upon the months which are being covered in this period of account, we would say that this is the loss figure which relates to the tax year 25-26. So D has an adjusted figure of loss of 17630 for the tax year 25-26. Now, considering we have determined the loss figure of 17630, we have another requirement in question, which is the current responsibility for all of us to solve. And this is about describing the ways in which D could have relieved her trading loss for the tax year 25-26 against her total income, and explain which of these claims would have been most beneficial. And you should assume the tax rates for the tax year 25-26 would apply throughout. Though this portion of the question is carrying 4 marks, but this is like going to be the most comprehensive question. In fact, most comprehensive requirement of the question. Now, the thing is that whenever we are going to read the requirement of the question, we need to focus on the verb, the action word, what they are demanding. They say to describe something. So, if you have to describe something, you have to explain something, you have to state something. Whenever you have to either state something or to explain something or to describe something, that means the description is required, for which the Word document is the most suitable document. And with uh, taxation syllabus, you won't have a choice to choose that whether you'll be like doing the answer on Word document or the spreadsheet. You will be given the relevant desirable sheet from the examiner. So for this question, they had provided students with the Word sheet. Okay, so now what we are going to do, we are going to suggest the ways in which loss could be adjusted, and then we will have to explain which of these claims would have been most beneficial. See, we know one thing, that for self-employed persons, how many options are available whenever there happens to be a trading loss. Either it is adjusted in the current year, or it is going to be carried back, or it is going to be carried forward. Well, when the losses are going to be carried forward, they are going to be adjusted against trading profits of the future tax year. And we can carry forward our loss to innumerable time period. I mean, for unlimited time period, we can take this take this loss for the sake of adjustment. Okay, if we decide to make an adjustment of the loss in the same year, the year in which loss has happened, if you are going to make an adjustment in the same year, this is called current year adjustment. And if you are going to take the loss back to the previous tax year for adjustment purposes, it is called loss adjustment under carryback procedure, where the loss will have to be adjusted against total income less qualifying interest, and see if there happens to be a loss in any of the first 4 tax years of trade. Either the loss happens in the first tax year of trade, or in the second year, in the third year, or in the fourth year, then the loss could be carried back to 3 tax years instead of just previous tax year. In total, we have 3 tax years where the loss can be carried back, and they're going to get adjusted against total income less qualifying interest. All right. Okay. Now, if you just have a look at the question, they are asking you that you need to describe the ways in which loss could be adjusted against total income less qualifying interest, right? as total income less qualifying interest. This is the treatment available if you are going to adjust loss either in the current year or in the previous year, or if you are going to apply the approach of carrying back the losses for 3 years under special adjustment procedure, which is only available if the loss is belonging to either of the first 4 tax years of trade. So that would mean that your examiner is not interested in listening to your carry forward procedure, as he has exclusively said that which options you may use when you are going to adjust your loss against total income would definitely eliminate this option, because when you are going to carry forward your loss, this will have to be adjusted against trading profit, which is obviously the option available, but your examiner is not demanding this. Okay, so I will be like discussing everything step by step. Let's have a look at current year loss adjustment first. So losses can be adjusted as we have to describe it. So we'll be like mentioning that what we are available with, I mean, what we have for the sake of adjustment purposes, and how much of the loss will be adjusted under each option, and eventually how much of the tax is gonna be saved. And then do not forget to give your findings, as it is said that we need to figure out the most beneficial option as well. So loss can be adjusted against total income less qualifying interest, either by applying current tax year or carry back option. So this is the topmost simple thing which we need to tell, that either you apply a current year approach or you apply a carry back approach. And carry back approaches, there are two types of carry back approaches: 1 year carry back or 3 year carry back. Though 3 year carry back is not available in every case, but carry back option, if it is like being claimed, then you may adjust your loss against total income less qualifying interest. Okay, so what happens if you are going to adjust your loss in the current year? In the current year, if you are going to adjust the loss, it has to be adjusted against total income less qualifying interest. What the current tax year is, the current year would mean the tax year in which loss has happened. The current year is 25-26, in which we have a loss which we have determined in the previous week, for which I gave you a quick recap. What was the loss figure? It was 17,630, right? So 17,630. 17,630 is the figure of loss for the tax year 25-26, and I need to see that if there is any other income available in the same tax year against which loss could be adjusted. So it is like her business is having a loss, and as far as other information is concerned, she had employment income as well from the period 6th April to 5th July. I mean, for 3 months in this tax year, she has worked, from which her employment income is 32,875. And before that, from the tax year 1920 to the tax year 24-25, her income had been £80,000. Her total income had been £80,000. So if I say that what is the current year income, see, I'm just going to open this spreadsheet just to uh, create an understanding. If 25-26 is the current tax year, she has a trading loss, and we know that whenever there happens to be a loss, then in front of that specific income, we present 0. And we do have employment income in this tax year as well, though not much, but what the employment income is, as it is said that the employment income was of 32875 only. So 32875. So what had been her total income in the current tax year? That was of 32875. There is like no interest paid on qualifying loans. So if I tend to make an adjustment in the current year, first of all, the loss figure is of 17,000. 630, the whole of the loss will be adjusted, the income will drop down, and of course, the taxes will be dropped as well. And now, if I ask you that how much of the tax saving is achieved in this case, then there are two approaches. There are two ways of doing this thing. Either you select a complicated approach, but it will not be taking much time. The complicated approach, but not be making much time, would mean that if you have done a lot of practice, then you'll be like handling the complicated things in a complicated way, in a comprehensive way, by not wasting much time. And this is like how it is going to be done. See, the total income is 32875, which suggests that under normal circumstances, after deducting the personal allowance, this income must be like falling in the basic rate band. But after the adjustment of losses, we still have a margin of deducting the personal allowances, and a very little bit of the income will be left behind, which is like giving you a very clear idea that even before the adjustment of losses, D was falling in the basic rate band. Even after the adjustment of losses, she is still in the basic rate band. So, whatsoever the loss she has adjusted, this would lead to save her taxes over the basic rate. So, this is like a comprehensive approach, which took me like actually few minutes in order to understand that what was the rate of tax at which she was like paying her tax liability before, what was the rate before, and after the adjustment of losses, at the same rate, the taxes must have been saved. And see, she is a basic rate taxpayer, so she must be saving the taxes over the basic rate. And I would say that if losses are adjusted in the current tax year against total income less qualifying interest, then the complete loss of 17,630 pounds will be adjusted, resulting into a saving of how much of the pounds, as 17,630 has brought her income down and hence created a saving of taxes at the rate of 20%. So just let me know that how much of the tax has been saved. It's like 17,630 into 20% of that, 3,526 pounds. So that would mean that 3,526 pound will be adjusted, will be saved precisely, right? So this is how you have mentioned it. Okay. And as I was saying, that there is like another approach as well, which is like figuring out that how much of the tax has been saved. This approach is simple, but it will be taking a little bit longer time. Okay, so how would it work if in case you do not have much competence, or you haven't like done practice of loss question much before, then this is like going to be an easy thing. I mean, you will compare before loss adjustment taxes figure with after loss adjustment tax figure. So this would be like before doing the adjustment of losses, what is going to be your tax liability, and then after adjustment of losses, and then seeing that what your tax liability is, and then comparing the two tax figures would let you know that how much of the taxes have been saved. This will be taken a little longer time, but it is like an easier thing to do. Okay, so what was the total income for the tax year 25-26? As it is said that there is only one income in the tax year, this is 32875. So it's like 32875, against which we are going to adjust nothing right now. Why? Because I said that before the adjustment of losses, I need to figure out that what the figure of tax is. Okay, and then After deducting the personal allowance figure, we will come to know what the taxable amount of this person is. So without adjustment of losses, his income is 203,005, which would mean that he is a basic rate taxpayer and he'll be paying taxes over the rate of 20%. So how much of the tax liability will be due? That is of 4061 pounds. This is the tax liability which will be due if there is no adjustment of losses. Well, if 32875 is the total income and we tend to adjust our losses of worth 17630, and then we are going to adjust our personal allowances as well, then we need to see that how much of the income is gonna be left behind. It's going to be 2675 just. Again, being a basic rate taxpayer, even in this case, how much of the tax liability she will have to bear? She will have to pay a tax of 535. So without the adjustment of losses, she had to pay 4061. If loss is adjusted, then her tax liability will be dropped down to 535. I just need to see that how much of the saving of tax will be achieved if there happens to be an adjustment of losses. So it's like 4061 less 535. The amount of taxes being saved is equal to 3526 pounds. So see, this approach has taken a little bit more time, but it is like actually making sense to each and everyone. But when it comes to a little abrupt, a spontaneous reaction, though you may do it like this way as well, but only if you have got a good understanding of how the loss adjustment is done. Are you all clear about this current year adjustment? Are you all clear? All right. Now, what happens is that under normal circumstances, we can carry back our losses to the previous tax year, whether the loss is happening in the first tax year or in the 18th tax year of the trade. I mean, anywhere in the life of the trade, whenever there happens to be a loss, it can be easily carried back to 1 year. So, losses can be carried back to previous tax year. And what the previous tax year is, it is 24-25 against total income less qualifying interest. Now, once again, I need to know what the total income for the previous tax year is. If you just have a look at the tax year 24-25, they have said that their total income was 80,000 pounds, right? So 80,000 pound is the total income for the previous tax year, as the total income was 80,000 pound in the previous tax year. Could you just uh, imagining that at what rate D would be paying taxes in the previous tax year? Yes, 40%, because 80,000 being the total income, there is no qualifying interest, then deducting the personal allowances will be falling in the high rate band. So that would mean that if the loss is going to be adjusted, this would lead to a reduction in the income which is primarily falling in the high rate band, and thus the taxes will be saved at the rate of 40%. So this is like, though a quick approach, but it is obviously a comprehensive thing, and this could only be done if you have done sufficient practice of losses. So as the total income was 80,000 in the previous year, loss adjustment would give rise to a saving of taxes at the rate of 40%. So could you please tell me what actually makes up 40%, sorry, 40% of 17,630 pound, as this is the loss figure. When it is going to be removed against the income, when it is going to be adjusted against the income, 40% of this income would result into a tax saving. It is of 7052 pounds. So 7052 is the amount of tax being saved. All right. And again, if you people find it a very abrupt sort of calculation, if you don't find it making sense, then once again, you just need to do this before and after loss adjustment thing, and you will eventually come to know what the exact answer is. Okay, so the total income is 80,000. Against the total income, we deduct interest paid on qualifying loans, and then we deduct losses. Okay, what if we don't adjust the loss and go in a normal way? Then after deducting the personal allowances, our taxable income will turn out to be 67430, out of which, of course, 37,700 will fall in the basic rate band, and the remaining amount, as out of 67430 we have covered 37,700 in the basic rate band, the remaining amount will be taxed under a high rate of 40%. So what's going to be an overall tax liability? This would be of 19432. And if in case we tend to make an adjustment of the losses, and the loss figure is 17,630, and afterwards we'll be adjusting 12570, then we are gonna be left with the taxable amount of 49800. Again, this person is still a high rate taxpayer. Out of 49800, first 37,700 will be taxed under a basic rate band, while the remaining income shall fall in the high rate band. Okay, so now I need to see that what the tax liability will be if the loss is adjusted. So D will be paying taxes of only 12380 if the loss is adjusted. Now, see, of course, there is like a reduction in the tax liability if there happens to be an adjustment of losses. I need to see that how much of the tax saving will be achieved in this case. Before making an adjustment of losses, she was liable to pay a tax of 19432, but after the adjustment of losses, she will be liable to pay only 12380, which would mean that she will be able to save 7052 pounds. So it's like 7052, the same thing which we have determined before, but this quick approach might not be like feasible for all the students. But doing this like loss adjustment, before doing loss adjustment and after doing loss adjustment thing, you will be able to come to the conclusion. Okay, considering losses can always be carried back to the previous one tax year, they can be carried back to previous 3 tax years as well if the loss is belonging to either of the first 4 tax years of trade. So losses can be carried back to the previous 3 tax years. So previous 3 would mean that which 3 years come before the tax year 25-26. Before 25-26, we have 22-23, 23-24, and 24-25. So 3 years before the tax years can be used, taking a start with the earliest tax year, which is 22-23, as we are applying FIFO approach, first in, first out approach. Then if the loss is not adjusted, we move to 23-24. If the loss is not still adjusted, then we move to 24-25. So we are going to write down this option as well, that loss can be carried back to previous 3 tax year, as this is the loss in the first tax year of trade. And this is like going to be taken back to the previous 3 tax year, taking the earliest tax year first, right? And what is the earliest most tax year? That is the tax year 22-23, where the total income is the same, where it is like absolutely the same total income we have, like it's from the tax year 1920 till the previous tax year, the income is exactly the same. So this would mean that even if we adjust the loss in the tax year 22-23, this would be resulting into the same saving of taxes, because we believe that whatever the tax rates we are learning right now, they used to be the same in the previous tax years, though practically this is not correct. But in the question, obviously, it is mentioned that we need to assume that whatever is happening right now, it used to happen in the previous or in the future years as well. And see, being students, it is not possible to learn the rules related to the previous years as well, right? So if in case the total income was same, it would result into the same adjustment of losses, it would result into the same saving of taxes. I'm going to copy paste the line. We'll be changing it a little bit just to give it a fresh look. As the total income was 80,000 in the tax year 22-23, so loss adjustment would give rise to the same tax saving of 7,052 pounds. Is that clear? So either you select the previous tax year or you're going to select the earliest of the 3 tax years, the same sort of saving of taxes will be achieved. Okay. And as in the question, it was said that we need to conclude that which one is the most beneficial way of adjusting the losses. You can see that explain which of these claims would have been most beneficial. So I would say either carrying back the loss to the previous tax year, which is 24-25, or relieving it against the tax year 22-23 would result into the maximum, or you may say into the same tax saving of 7,052, which is beneficial as more tax will be, or higher tax will be saved as compared to current tax year adjustment, right? So how many valid points I have made? This is the first valid point. This is the second valid point. The third one. A valid point would mean that in every paragraph I was explaining one different thing. And a valid point, a paragraph should be of maximum of 3 lines in total. I mean, one line is even sufficient if you are describing the whole concept properly. 2 or maximum 3 lines will have to be structured for the sake of mentioning a valid point. And why did I count the valid points? See, this was a descriptive questions, and all the questions which are descriptive ones, their marks are important. it was of worth 4 marks, so I had to produce at least 4 valid points. And how many valid points I have made, how many separate paragraphs I have made? This is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So at least 4 were required. And I have mentioned 5 points in order to address the whole thing properly. So I think in this case, I have produced the maximum possible answer for which examiner will surely be giving me the full credit. Clear? Is this thing clear to each and every one of you? What about others? I really want to listen from each and every one of you. Are you getting what we are discussing? Okay. So now, students, I'm going to give you a choice that what would you like to do now? Would you be liking to have one more constructor response question? If yes, then I do have a 10 marks worth question. The name of the question is Jade. Otherwise, we'll be doing 10 marks worth 5 OTs relevant to capital gains taxes. Now, the choice is yours. Just let me know that what would you like to do now? Either one question of worth 10 marks relating to income tax rules. The name of the question is Jade, a constructor response question, or you would like to do 5 OTs from capital gains taxes. So I've got mixed sort of response. Okay. What am I going to do? I'll be discussing 5 OTs with you people right now, correct? And I'll be providing you with a recording of one more constructor response question as well. The name of the question is Jade, as what I'm showing you people right now. The recording of this question will be given to you people. And right now in the live session, I'm going to discuss 5 objective test questions of capital gains taxes. Okay, let's have a look at the first. OT, it says that which of the following gifts made by an individual is exempt for capital gains taxes. You do have 4 options in front of you, as whensoever a chargeable asset is being disposed of by a chargeable person in a chargeable manner, either the gain or the loss shall have to be computed. And this is called like a chargeable disposal on which either the gain or the loss shall be computed. Otherwise, if the elements of the definition are not being met, then it is said to be an exempt disposal for which neither we will calculate the gain nor we will calculate the losses. Okay, what do you have to say? What do you think? Which option is correct in this regard? Then I'll tell you my version as well. So till now I've got an answer of A. I really want to hear it from other people as well. No answer from anyone? Okay, let me tell you that this answer is correct. Why? Because you might have come across the rule of wasting chattels. I mean, all the movable assets, all the movable tangible assets are called chattels. And there is like a further category of chattels which we call as wasting chattels. And wasting chattel is a type of a chattel whose useful life is either equal to or less than 50 years. So, whensoever you have any movable asset whose technically a total life is of 50 years or less than that, that's called wasting chattel. And wasting chattel, whenever it is disposed of, and by disposal I mean to say whenever the ownership of the asset gets changed, there is going to be neither a gain nor a loss calculation to take place. So the thing is that motorboat is basically that asset whose useful life is not found to be of more than 50 years. Now you must be thinking that how would you people know that motorboat is having a less than 50 years, right? That's a very technical thing. I do not have uh, any interest in any sort of such activities. So I do not have much knowledge that which boat or which ship has got a higher life, which is like having a limited life, right? So you might find it confusing, but this is not a confusing thing. See, it uses a word of motor. Motor means something which is like being run on a mechanical basis. It's a machine, and machines usually have a limited life. For instance, if you have a, a television in your houses, if you have a laptop, you have a calculator, you have a mobile phone. These are the basic things which one usually have in their houses. See, everything uses a motor, everything uses a machine, and machine doesn't have a life of more than 50 years. There is neither a single piece of machine you are using for the last 50 years. I am sure you people are not of like this age, but even if you just have an imagination of how long a machine can run, you may think maybe this machine can be used for 10 years, 15 years, and that's it. So it is like, considering it's a machine, machines usually do not have a life of more than 50 years, which is why they would fall in the category of wasting chattel. And this is not even a business asset. It is not even something which was being used as a business asset in like doing someone's business. This was simply a motorboat someone had for the sake of like enjoying on a personal scale, and they gave it to their aunt. It's like that is it. It's a personal sort of asset, and it is having a life of not more than 50 years, which is the main rule. Then this is like said to be an exempt asset for capital gains tax purposes. Is that clear? Is this thing clear? All right. Now we have second OT in front of us. It says that Jackson acquired a holiday villa for £115,000 on 1st May 2014, and he gave it to his wife Sophia on 30th September 2020. When it was worth £100,000, Sophia sold the villa for £159,000. The villa on 1st July 25, and this has never been their main residence. She had no other capital disposals in the tax year 25 26. I mean, in the same tax year, because when they sold the villa in 25, that means they sold it in the tax year 25 26. And there is like no other disposal that had happened in the same tax year, but they have brought forward capital losses of £4,300, and her income, taxable income, is of £60,000. What is meant by taxable income? See, when it comes to income tax computation, we tend to make three columns: non saving, saving, and dividend. We first of all segregate our income, then we deduct interest paid on qualifying loans, then we deduct the personal allowances, and finally, we come across the taxable income. and taxable income is the income on which income tax liability shall have to be calculated. And her taxable income is £60,000, which suggests that Sophia is a high rate taxpayer, because whatever the band her income tax computational values have used, they will no longer be used for the sake of calculating her CGT liability. Okay, so whatever the asset they had sold, that's villa. First of all, I am going to calculate the gain. Who sold it off? That's Sophia. But she did not acquire it herself, rather, her husband acquired it. Whenever there happens to be an intra group disposal, whenever the spouses or the civil partners are going to transfer the ownership of the asset, then the recipient of the asset will be acquiring the asset over its original cost. So, though the asset, when it was transferred to Sophia, had a market value of £100,000, but as it is from husband to wife gift, so the original cost shall be treated as a cost for Sophia. So for Sophia, when she acquired the asset, there had happened to be no gain, no loss calculation back on 30th of September 2020. I mean, in the tax year 2021, when the asset was transferred by Jackson to Sophia, and it will be considered as if she has this she had acquired the asset over its original cost, and now she is going to sell it off to an outsider. Let me just see that what is like going to be her capital gains figure first. So for Sophia in the tax year 25-26, she has disposed of the villa for £159,000. And what the cost of the villa is, that is of 115,000, which is the cost at which her spouse had acquired the asset, right? So what is going to be the chargeable gain for Sophia? This must be like 44,000. This is the gain. And then what happens is that in the current tax year, she did not sell any other asset. This is her current year gains. I need to see if there happens to be any current year losses first, but there has happened to be no other disposal in the year. And then what is left? That's again 44,000, against which, first of all, we will deduct annual exemption. The annual exemption value for a CGT is £3,000. And then we need to deduct the brought forward capital losses. Could you see the brought forward capital losses? They said that £4,300 is being carried forward. So after deducting the brought forward capital losses, we will be able to come to know what her taxable gain figure is. Now just tell me what her taxable gain figure is. $36,700. All right. And then we shall be applying the CGT rates, the capital gains tax rates, and it is all dependent on the availability of the basic rate band. As Sophia has already calculated her income tax liability and has already used her basic rate band, because her income was quite high. So her basic rate band is not available, which is why she will have to pay her CGT over the high rate. By the way, the basic rate is 18% and the high rate is 24%. So 36,700 into 24%. Could you please tell me what is going to be her CGT liability? Double 808, £8,808. This is a blank. Whenever the blank is given to you people, you will not be putting any comma, any full stop, no extra character, just the numbers are to be put in. £8,808, right? So this is the correct answer. Now we have third OT in front of us, which got tested back in September 2017 exam attempt. It says that putting an asset into the joint names. I mean, either the husband will be owning the asset individually, or if the wife will be owning the asset individually, if they are going to have joint ownership of the asset before the disposal of the asset, this could be a sensible CGT planning tool. But what sensible is basically there in this regard? As in, whenever, for instance, if there is a person called Mr. A, he is having a land in his sole name. If he sells it off, obviously only 37,700 will be adjusted in the basic rate band and the rest will fall in the high rate band. And he will be able to utilize his annual exemption and his losses only. But if it's like having a joint ownership with his wife, then of course half gain will be chargeable upon him and half will be chargeable upon his wife. There could be a chance that his wife has a better margin in the basic rate band, and then she herself will be able to use her portion of annual exemption of 3,000 pound as well, and she might be having like losses as well, with the help of which she will initially be able to reduce her gain. So there are multiple advantages in with the help of which overall tax liability can be reduced. But which of the following cannot be achieved as a direct result of using this type of tax saving? Which thing cannot be achieved? What benefit we can't have if we have a joint ownership of the asset? You have four options in front of you, and the option is like very clear. Yes, you're right. It is option B. Why? Because if you split the ownership in two names, both of them will be able to utilize their annual exempt amount. So gain will be reduced and obviously taxes will be reduced. They both will be able to utilize their basic rate band if available. So tax will be reduced. And if both of them or any one of them have capital losses, then with the help of losses, they are better utilized, their taxes will be reduced. But whatever the tax figure they come across, that will be paid to HMRC on the same date, that cannot be lingered on, that cannot be postponed, that cannot be deferred. So, this is not the benefit of splitting the ownership, the title to the ownership with your spouse. So, option B is not the advantage, and this is something the correct answer as this is being demanded in this question. Is this thing clear to each and every one of you? Is this thing clear? Now we have the fourth OT. It says that Lime purchased an antique glass was, see, it's a movable asset, so it would fall in the category of chattels, for 22,000 pounds on 30th of March 2009 and incurred legal fees of 800 pounds. So this was an incidental cost of purchase. The market for antique glassware has since slumped and Lime sold the vase for 5,500 pounds. The disposal value is of less than 6,000 pound, and the the purchase price was of more than 6,000 pounds. In all such cases where the chattels were sold for a value of less than 6,000 pound, but their cost would mean overall cost, which includes the purchase price, the incidental cost of purchase, and the capital expenditure, the asset expenditure. If the overall cost is of greater than 6,000 pound, then in all such situations, the disposal proceed has to be adjusted to 6,000 pound. Though there is like incidental fee also paid at the point of disposal, as Lime had to incur auctioneer fee of 300 pounds. But see, what our performa is that whensoever any asset is sold, any chargeable asset is sold, we first of all take into account the disposal proceed, and then we deduct the incidental cost of disposal, And that's how we come across the net proceeds figure. Then we need to deduct the overall cost, which includes the purchase price, the incidental cost of purchase, and the capital expenditure. Now, as the cost was, purchase price was of £22,000, and legal fee was also incurred at that time, was worth £800. So could you see that overall it is of costing more than £6,000? It's a chattel costing more than 6,000, but it is being sold for less than £6,000. So what we will do, we will replace the disposal proceeds with £6,000, as increasing the disposal proceed would reduce the loss figure somehow. And what the incidental cost of disposal is, it is of £300. So 300 is the incidental cost of disposal. So net proceeds will be 5,700. And after deducting the cost, still we are having a loss, but this loss is a little bit uh, contained. It is a little bit controlled as compared to the loss figure, which would do if we had used the actual figures. Could you please tell me that what exactly the figure of loss in this case? $17,100. Yes, you are right. 17,100 is the figure of loss. Now, when you are going to select the option, it's option C, which is correct. Right? Now we have fifth OT for the day. In next session, the session we will be conducted on, I believe that's 25th of July or 24th of July. Would that be 24th? On next Saturday or 25th? 25th? Okay. So on 25th of July, we will once again be discussing the OTs and the OTKs as well as a constructor response question for CGT. But in today's session, we had to take a tiny bit of the start. Okay. Coming to this last OT for the day, it was tested back in June 2015. It says that for the tax year 25-26, NOG has a chargeable gains of £17,400. And in the same tax year, they have a loss of 10,100. In the same tax year, the losses and the gains are netted off against each other to the maximum possible extent. And she has unused capital losses of £5,300 brought forward from the tax year 24-25. This is the figure of loss that is being carried forward from the past tax year. Now we need to suggest that what amount of capital losses can NOG carry forward to the tax year 26-27. So the first thing is that what the current situation is. In the current tax year, the gain figure is of 17,400. First of all, I shall have to take into account the gain figure. Then against the gain, we need to deduct the current year losses to the maximum possible extent. As the current year, in the same tax year, we have a loss of £10,100. So how much of the chargeable gain, net chargeable gain is going to be left behind? That is £7,300. Against this, we will be deducting the annual exempt amount first, which is of £3,000. And then we may deduct the brought forward capital losses as well. As after deducting this £3,000, we do have a margin of only £4,300, but the losses being brought forward is of worth £5,300. But here, how much of the loss we will adjust? That is of £4,300 because only this much capacity is left. And how much of the gain taxable gain will be left behind in the tax year 25-26. That is zero. There is no gain left behind, which is to be considered as a taxable gain. No tax liability shall have to be paid in the current tax year. Now, as current year losses have been adjusted, but the brought forward losses have not been adjusted completely. So I need to see that how much of the loss is still left. It is not wasted. Rather, it will be carried forward to the future tax year. £5,300 was the figure of loss. Against this, only £4,300 got adjusted. So how much of the loss is still left for adjustment purposes? That is of £1,000, and this will be adjusted against chargeable gains of the tax year 26-27. If in case it is not going to get adjusted completely, then the leftover loss will be taken to the very next tax year, which is 27-28, and this process will keep on going unless and until the loss would get totally adjusted. So this is £1,000 being the loss figure, which we will carry forward to the tax year 26-27. Is this thing clear? All right, students, do you people have anything else to say, either related to current session or anything in general related to taxation syllabus? Do you people have anything else to say? Though we didn't do much practice in today's session, but I shall be providing you with the constructed response question recording as well, and I shall inform you the moment it is uploaded on the portal. I believe that the recording of this session will be made available tomorrow, but the recorded version of the question that I was intending to do in today's session was Jade, and I'll be like getting it uploaded on Monday. The question is, I have a doubt there are questions where 3,000 annual exempt amount is not deducted, and in some question they do deduct. Okay, so if in case you find in the question that they have exclusively said that do not deduct annual exempt amount for no reason, then don't deduct it. Or if it is like said in the question, this is the taxable gain. So by using the word taxable would mean that the annual exempt amount has already been taken into account. Apart from these two things, if you find a question where it is not said that this is a taxable gain, rather they say that this is a chargeable gain or the capital gain, and they are not even giving you this extra instruction that don't deduct anything else, then this would mean that you still have to make a deduction with respect to annual exempt amount. And so much so, there is like one more thing which I just remembered, that in some questions, what happens is that it is said that there is a person who is going to make a disposal of an asset, and he has already made sufficient disposals in the same tax year before, which would mean that he has already made disposals in the current tax year which must have absorbed the annual exempt amount. So whatever the extra disposal now takes place, and if it generates gain, this would not be having any entitlement to annual exempt amount. I mean, they will not be able to utilize annual exempt amount. They're not going to get benefited from that. The question is, in CGT, do we in any case deduct the personal allowance? In CGT, we deduct number one, annual exempt amount, right? And for the sake of determining that in which band we are falling. Now here we may deduct personal allowances, but see the question that we did a while ago where £60,000 was written, it was a taxable income. So taxable income would mean that they have already taken this personal allowance thing into account, which is why we did not deduct it. But if they said that this was his total income or the employment income or something else, if it was merely an income, then we had to deduct the personal allowance against the income value first in order to determine the taxable income, and taxable income had to decide that which band we have already used, whether we still have any margin in the basic rate band or not. And then when we are calculating CGT liability, we have to first figure out the taxable gain against which the annual exempt amount is to be deducted first, and then we'll be like calculating capital gains tax. And again, if in the question it is said that this is the taxable gain, that means that annual exempt amount has already been deducted, right? Now, students, hope the session has been fruitful to you people. So sorry for this prolonged session. I hope you had been able to get good takeaways from this session, which is going to be helpful for the sake of preparing your upcoming exam attempt. Right? The time has come to wind up the session. Thank you once again. Have a happy weekend. Goodbye.